Yo, welcome to Starbucks. I am your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we got Jim Rosati. Jim, happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Good morning. We're a little late this morning. Somebody was running behind.
We're a little late, but we're always on time. I wasn't running behind.
We're here.
It wasn't me.
You were a little behind.
Sure. But anyways, as you mentioned, yes, we are here. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Starbucks. Hey, fresh off series victory.
Series split.
Son of a bee, you're right. It was a split. Close enough.
You wanted to forget Thursday's game, though. Thursday's game was very forgettable.
Yeah, clearly I did. Yeah. I forgot they even played Thursday.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Forgetting that they played Thursday is a good thing, because what was the final score? Like 15-1, 15-2.
Jesus, that's totally out of my head. Wow.
See, again, it's good to forget it. Like, I wish I could forget that game.
Let me teach you my ways. But anyways, fresh off a series split. These days, that's good enough for a Pirates victory. I'll put it this way: 500 since the trade deadline. They are 3-3, baby.
That's one way to put it. Another way to put it is 7-5 in games when Endy Rodriguez starts.
Also that.
Yeah.
Yep. So just think about the numbers. When Endy starts 7-5, when Austin Hedges is not even on the team, they're 3-3. They're no worse than a 500 team. Any way you look at it. He was holding them back.
Well, we kind of been saying it for a while. Like, yeah, whatever defensive gains that Austin Hedges gives you and you lose with going to Endy Rodriguez, you're still going to make up for it in that you don't have a literal black hole in the lineup.
Right. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah. So I'll tell you what. This is a good segue into our first topic. We want to discuss maybe like what we're going to see the remainder of the year. Obviously the trade deadline happened. They're not a good team. So it's not like we're looking at playoff first. Are we, Jim? Before I go any further? Or what? No. What? Come on. They just split the series with the first place Brewers.
No, we're not looking at playoff berths, but we are looking at like the rest of the season. The rest of the season matters. You want to see this team and at least a few key pieces of this team have life, ending this season. You want to feel somewhat good going into 2024. And in order to do that, you need to see some performances from some players these last 2 months, especially from guys who are going to be back and being a major part of that team.
Yeah, I think like last week, and if not the week before, we discussed how wins are important the second half of this year for certain reasons, right? But let's talk about like actual players that can lead to those wins, what we want to see from them. I think a lot of it starts with Brian Reynolds.
Yeah.
He's that a little bit, and he's turned it around quite nicely recently. I should actually probably bring up his numbers if I was prepared as a host. But anyways, like his turnaround could be pretty big because let's be honest, Jim, he has not had a good season. He started out very, very hot. You felt very comfortable about Brian Reynolds. This is exactly why you need to extend that man. Then he got extended, and wasn't immediately right then, but shortly after he kind of fell off a cliff, and he's been, since then he's been very, very below average. I think like a 80 radio runs created plus something like that. But like basically overall, look at the season, he equals out to an average player, which isn't good as a corner piece. So, as of late, though, he's been pretty hot. And I think what would be pretty important is to see a good Brian Reynolds to finish out the season. I think just for him, mentally, everything for the team. But like you said, you talked about going forward into 2024. You're going to feel a lot more positive, a lot better knowing that, okay, Brian Reynolds is back. He can perform. And we're going to need him to be a big piece in 2024.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he's a big part of it. You want to go into 2024 feeling good about Brian Reynolds, and in order for that to happen, you need to see what he's been doing these last 2 to 3 weeks. You need to see that continue for the rest of the year. Since July 21st, since you don't have the numbers, 5 home runs, 328 average, 359 OBP, 590 slugging, all good for a 155 weighted runs created plus during that time period. So he's been a very good hitter since July 21st, and arbitrary end dates we can that's what we're using right here. But
I like my arbitrary end date, but go ahead.
But as far as that goes, like he's been playing really well. Hit the 2-run homer yesterday. Had a really good series. 2 homers in this Milwaukee series. Yeah, he's turning it on, and you need to see him continue that in order to kind of salvage the season.
For sure. And like you mentioned, the home runs, that was the biggest thing too. Outside like the first few weeks of the home runs, he was still hitting, but a lot of doubles and whatnot. And that was the big talks. What happened to Brian Reynolds' home runs? And like you mentioned, there's 4 home runs right now. The power's starting to come back. This is the one thing, when you look at his total season now at this point, it's starting to be pretty respectable. We're getting there. So, right, if you finish out August, finish out September, gives you 2 more months. I'm not saying it's to do this, but like being back to like Brian Reynolds again. I don't know what it was. Maybe the pressure of the contract, whatever everything is. I don't know what it is, but those are gone. You see Reynolds is back, and you can say, okay, you know what? 2024 could be looking a lot better, knowing Brian Reynolds is going to be in that corner, opposed to him continuing to do this and saying, oh boy, what is Brian Reynolds now that he signed this big extension? So I guess just to point out there for his total season numbers, 267, 329. He's got a 110 weighted runs created plus, a 1.6 WAR. Like, again, those are still not numbers that you want to see with Brian Reynolds with that extension, but by no means do those numbers look and say he's fleecing you with that extension. Like, that's still very warranted in that money that he's getting paid for.
No, I mean, he's putting together an okay season now, and again, he's got enough time to turn this around, and you want to see him do that before the end of the year. If he can at least put up last year's numbers, essentially, you feel a little bit better.
Sure. Who next do you want to see things from?
It's really a couple other veterans, and yeah, like the young guys are important, but so are the older guys. Brian Hayes, you would really like to see just like something at the plate from him. You don't need him to hit like 2020. You don't need any of that, but you do want to see some form of production and consistency from Brian Hayes on the offensive side of things. Otherwise, like, I mean, I think at this point, like Hayes is what he is, and that's a light hitting glove first third baseman. But like they need a little more out of him. They need something, just anything from him offensively, and they're not getting it.
Yeah, I agree. It's been quite disappointing with Brian Hayes. And with that said, we weren't expecting 2020 Brian Hayes. We pretty much have came to a conclusion of he's just not going to be that good of a hitter. Now, granted, you saw this offseason, you came into spring, and you were intrigued by a little bit, and maybe you were hopeful that he could be a decent hitter, right? But he's regressed pretty much year over year. Like, that's the problem. It's not so much that even like Brian Hayes is here and he's still just doing this late hitting stuff and has a good glove or whatever. I mean, we'll throw out the 2020 season because that was all short. That was just weird anyways. But 2021, 87 weighted runs created plus. 2022, 88. This year he's at a 75. Like, he's batting 243, 279. By the way, was your leadoff hitter for quite some time. 279, 377 slugging, just 5 home runs, 9 stolen bases. You just can't simply, again, like you can't. We understand the glove plays. The glove is going to be his calling card, but you have to have some resemblance of offense, something, or else, again, like he is Jared Triolo.
He's a much better version of Jared Triolo, but
I know it's a little hyperbole, but like that's where we're at.
But the offensive production this season is extremely concerning because I think you could live with it when it was hovering around 90. You know, like it was you didn't want it, but you could live with that from him based off of the glove. When that weighted runs created plus dips below 80, you're getting into like you are a borderline major leaguer territory now. Again, the defense is still carrying him like from a WAR standpoint, but you need something from him offensively. I mean, a 75 weighted runs created plus is just it's not acceptable. Like plain and simple. Like he's got to be better than that. So these last 2 months, he's got to show some sign of life.
Yeah,
because he did it for like 3 games, and then that was like the only time we've been optimistic about Brian Hayes really all season long. He adopted this toe tap, and everybody got all crazy thinking he's back, and it lasted a weekend.
It really did, and like to the extreme. Now, obviously, there's not like 2 upper prospects that are ready to take his spot, but it's the Austin Hedges effect. Like I understand, like the defense is a calling card. The defense is very important, and that's what's going to carry him and such. But you have to have something because this like you can't do it with this team. You just can't have a bunch of gloves and no bats. If he was on the Texas Rangers, sure, then that's the guy you're seeking. Ironically enough, they're the team that acquired Austin Hedges, but like the Rangers have a very good offense. If he was with the Atlanta Braves, right, they could sneak in Brian Hayes because that offense is going to carry them. That's fine. But when you're a team like the Pirates, who doesn't have any offense, you got to get something from him. And right, like you're talking about here right now, at this point in time, 79 games, he's got 1 WAR. I mean, he's at a 2 WAR pace right now. That's an everyday player, but that's like the borderline of an everyday player. That's what we're talking about. So if he's like any worse or he has to take any more time off, like that's just kind of where we're at right now. A 3 WAR player is different than a 2 WAR player. It's not a whole lot, but it makes you think like, okay, you're comfortable. Even with his bat, he's a 3 WAR player. He's good. There could be some improvement. And now you're in the territory of he's not really an everyday guy.
Yeah. I mean, if the bat stays like this, the contract won't be terrible in that like they will probably get the value out of it. Mm-hmm. But you sign that deal to get surplus value out of that contract.
Especially that deal. I mean, we all thought about that time even still is like, wow.
Yeah. Like the deal's not going to be a bad deal, but it should be a good deal. Like that deal should have been a good deal for the Pirates. And in order for it to be a good deal, he's got to hit close to league average. If he's hitting close to league average, then that deal's so good. But just not seeing it right now. And I mean, he's still somewhat young in the, when you're looking at Major League Baseball players and when they figure things out. Like he's 26. He's got time, and the Pirates are going to have to play him for the foreseeable future. So you just hope that he figures it out. I still have confidence in him just based off of the makeup, the athleticism. Like I kind of refuse to believe that someone with this skill set can't just figure it out at some point.
Yeah.
I just have no idea when that point's going to be. And it might be when he turns 28, might be 29. Like maybe he's like Yandy Diaz was kind of like that, and this is kind of that's who I compare him to. Like we need that kind of, we need that light bulb to go off in his head this offseason at and come into next year knowing how to hit.
And that's the thing that Brian Hayes presents. Like, he has all the tools to do it. And that's why this year you're kind of excited because, he's buying into the analytics and he's starting to pull the ball a little more. There's a lot of change to the swing, and okay, this is going to be the year. Like you said, he's young enough, but also part of it is this back issue. Like, is that what's really preventing him from being that much? Again, we're not talking about a plus hitter, but like, is that what's making him not be even a 90 weighted runs created plus guy that you're talking about, right? 10% below league average. And if that is the case, though, like that's starting to become a thing. And that's what's unfortunate. Yep. 2021, 96 games, 2022, 136, this year, 79 right now at this point. Is that just going to be what you live with also? And now you're getting to the point where there's just a lot of stuff that you have to live with to have good Brian Hayes. And again, it's not that it's bad, but it's not great. It's not great, Bob. And that's just kind of the thing, right? That's something you have to live with. And now, granted, you have to find offense elsewhere.
Yep.
So yeah, Brian Hayes, definitely a guy. I want to switch over another vet here, Mitch Keller. This is the guy you thought was fixed. Mitch Keller is good again. We had the 1-year anniversary creep up. We had Steve Nesbitt on to talk about Mitch Keller. And what's happened ever since, by the way, Jim, ever since we had Steve Nesbitt on, what Mitch Keller has done. Quite literally. I think it's the Nesbitt curse, by the way. But
we'll have to let him know that there's a Nesbitt curse.
Yeah. Since Nesbitt came on the show, Mitch Keller, 5.92 ERA in 76 innings. That's the
Nesbitt curse. That's the Nesbitt curse right there.
It is.
No,
that's not good.
That's not good. That's kind of alarming. I didn't realize it was that high. Yeah, he has not been a good pitcher lately. He's had a couple like really big blow up games too, where before in the beginning part of this season, when Mitch Keller didn't have it, he still was putting together, like he was grinding away quality starts, right? And it was like, okay, he didn't have it today, but he went 6 and he gave up 3. Now he doesn't have it and he's going 4 and he's given up 8. That's kind of the difference now. Yeah, I mean, overall solid season, like if you look at the numbers, but where he was at the end of May compared to now, pretty significant drop. I mean, he was an all-star pitcher. You look at his numbers now, they're not very all-star like. Outside, the strikeouts still look pretty good, but yeah, he's definitely not moving in the right direction. And maybe it's a fatigue thing. Like he's never thrown this many innings in this amount of time. He's going to break his innings limit this year by quite a bit.
Right.
I don't know if that's it, but yeah, finishing off the season resembling his first half self would be really nice going into next year.
Yeah, for sure. 7 of the 13 starts, 4 runs or more. If you're looking at the catchers of the 13 starts, 9 by Hedges, 3 by Endy, 1 by Delay. So it's like the reason I'm saying that too, it's not as if like the 3 starts from Endy just came and ballooned everything and Endy's terrible. And of course, that's why they're 7-5 with Endy. I just want to look like it's not like it's all these decisions you could like think of and the Pirates are trying to tell you, right? Most of them were by Hedges. It's been that long. It's been quite a bit. And yeah, like it's just been bad. Now we're at the point. Now it's not that I'm worried, but we saw good Mitch Keller. Now we're seeing, I'm not saying old Mitch Keller, right? But like this isn't the new and improved Mitch Keller. So it's like the Brian Reynolds situation. Like going into 2024, do you feel comfortable again with Mitch Keller? That's why this like last 2 months, I think, means something. If we get a resemblance of early on or last season Mitch Keller, you can say, okay, well, at least he's solid enough. Like you can pencil him to be like a number 3 starter. We were talking ace early on, right? We're talking, this is the guy who could be the ace. Now it's Skeens here. It's Skeens, Mitch Keller. Wow, what a 1-2. And now we're back on maybe he's a number 3. That's like, I feel like the importance of what those last 2 months are.
Yep. No, I agree. Definitely a guy who needs to turn things around. From a younger standpoint, I mean, I
Yeah.
think the usual suspects. You want to see Henry Davis hit the ball. Basically, you want to see him maybe catch a few games. You want to keep seeing Endy look good behind the plate. Endy's bat is turning around too, so you want to see that. O'Neal Cruz. I'd like to see O'Neal Cruz before the end of the year, whether that's the end of this month, whether that's in September, but I want to see O'Neal Cruz on a baseball field doing O'Neal Cruz type things before the end of the year. And then, I think when it comes to like Leover Peguero and Alika Williams, let's just kind of see what they have. I feel pretty good based off of what we've seen from Peguero. But definitely want to see more of it. I'm not quite sure if he's got the makings to be an everyday starter, but now's the time to find out.
Right. I think that's a good point. The middle infield, I think, is pretty important. So you've seen a plethora of players so far. Obviously, Marcano's on the IL for the rest of the season. His time here last year and this year, there's much more to be desired. Castro's already traded off, so he's one less peach to see from. So, I think you said, like Alika Williams and Peguero, those are two certainly guys I want to see. We know Cruz is coming back. We're going to see how Cruz looks when he comes back, which I think is important, right? Heading into 2024. But regardless, like he's your shortstop in 2024 for sure. That's not penciled in, that's penned in. So outside of that, who will be the second baseman? And I like Peguero. I would love to see him the rest of the season like own this and say, okay, you know what? Peguero, Cruz, you're our second, our middle infield. If not, let's see what Alika Williams has. So yeah, I think this is important for that to finally have some middle infield solved, because no one that they've been putting out there since the Cruz injury has proven themselves, has showed themselves, has said, okay, 2024, I am confident and comfortable with that duo.
Yeah, I mean, they've thrown what seems like 10 guys in that middle of the infield in the last 2 years, not counting O'Neal Cruz, and just none of them have worked. So, they need one of those guys. They need one person. They need one person to be a major leaguer, like a good major league player. And so far they're 0 So yeah, let's move on to the next guys, and that's Williams and Peguero, and see what they got.
Yeah. And I just think, like, on the pitching side, let's talk about the guy yesterday too. I mean, Johan Oviedo. He's brought in a lot of intrigue. Right now, he's the best pitcher ERA wise on the team, by the way. Not Mitch Keller, it's Oviedo. And with that said, there's been intrigue, right, about him being a starter. He's kind of proven it. He's had a nice little string of starts here. Like, what if he finishes out this season? I'm not talking like on a Mitch Keller run last year, but like, what if he finishes out the season pretty strong? And you're thinking, we talked reliever, we talked he's got stuff, but he's had the command and whatever to be a starter. And it's like, you know what? He's not just a starter. He's actually a pretty good one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Johan Oviedo is in the 2024 rotation.
Yeah.
So he's been very good, and I think the impressive thing is, yeah, like that first inning, that's been his problem, and if he's able to get through that first inning, he puts together really, really good starts. So it's just getting the consistency from him. But yesterday, 23 starts and 11 of them 1 run or less. That's impressive. 3 straight wins now for him in his last 3 starts, 3 straight games of 1 run or less. Really nice outing yesterday. You see the upside with him because he puts together some good games every now and then. And he's just 25. Overall, just you look at just the numbers across the board, it's a solid season for him.
Not to pick on you, but to pick on the word usage you said. Every now and then he puts up a really good game. He actually puts up a really good game a lot more than now and then. That's the thing with him. He puts up a good game very often. It's just when he puts up a bad game, you've lost. That game's pretty much out of hand for the most part. You talked about how many one run or less, right? That's a lot. It's just the fact that he also has 8-run games and 5-run games and 7-run games. You know what I mean? When he's not on, it's gone. Now, we talk about the benefit there is when he's not on, he at least gives you a 5 so that way you don't kill your bullpen. So like, thankfully, he's a trooper and does that. But if he can limit that, like, that's what we're talking. Like, he's a good pitcher, not just a guy. When he's on, he's as good as anyone in the league almost, it seems like.
Yeah.
So if he can mitigate the big L's, again, this is why I'm very intrigued with him. And right, like, he has the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like, he's had a string of really good games. One there with the 5 runs, but like, I want to say, I think it's been 6 in a row. He hasn't give up a run in the first inning as well. So I'll be glad to eat my words on Oviedo. I think it's turned into, you might as well put him in the rotation and see what he has, because the rotation has nothing to. He's going to be a big part of 2024 if they're good.
Yeah. And he seems to be finishing this season strong. Like, he's putting together a nice whole string of games right now.
You're also talking about innings. He's at 131 already as well.
Yeah, so he'll finish well above, he'll be at least a qualified major league starter, which, there's not too many of those nowadays.
Right. That's true. What I was getting to is 160, 150, it looks like, was his career high in 2019, like in the minors. So certainly creeping up on his max there. So again, good for next year. What else? Anything else you want to see touch on?
I think that hits most of it. Yeah, I think that hits most of it.
Your dog have anything to say?
Yeah,
is it the dog or the cat?
That's the dog just rolling around, scratching the door.
I thought there was a ghost for a second. Your door started swinging back and forth. All right. So do we want to get our next topic here? You want to talk about the upcoming series against the Braves?
Yeah, we can do Braves next.
Is that what we want to do, or prospects?
I mean, I would say end with the Braves.
Okay, we'll do that then. Let's go prospects.
All right.
So let's see. What do we want to talk about with prospect wise? I guess we should start with the Florida Coast League. Florida Complex League.
It's called the Complex League now.
Yeah,
Leonardo. So let's pick a guy from the Complex League to talk about. I mean, if I'm picking a guy, I'm going with Michael Kennedy.
Ooh, okay.
Michael Kennedy, 4th round pick from last year, lefty starting pitcher. We didn't see him last season. Didn't pitch last year after being drafted, but so far this year, he's still just 18 years old too. He was young when he got picked. 18 years old. He's now 9 games in the Complex League, 32 2/3 innings. He's got a strikeout rate of 32.8%. He's got a 2.48 earned run average, 3.34 FIP. Again, like, he's in that he's in the Complex League. This is his first taste of pro ball. You gotta like what you're seeing from him so far. He probably finishes the season there. I don't know if he makes his way to Bradenton or not, but really good pro debut from Michael Kennedy.
I like it. I'm going to shift gears. We'll go into Bradenton, right? Shoot, hold on.
You want to talk about Lonnie White Jr.?
I do.
Yeah, as you should.
Sorry, I'm pulling up. He has again. I think I brought up a few weeks ago just because he's back, right? And just he was part of that draft class. Keep your eye on him, see what he does. He's definitely well behind. I don't think either of us are really calling him a prospect this time, but just keep your eye out, right? So at this point in time, keeping my eye out. He's had a really hot week. Granted, right? It's Lonnie White Jr. It's low A, whatever. But with this hot week that he's had, so a little bit more than a hot week. I'm going to go a little bit further back. So since July 28th, even, he is batting 294, 400, slugging 794. Now, that's the big thing. The home runs, all the power, actually. So in this time, he's had 10 hits, two doubles. Three doubles, one triple, four home runs. So of the 70 hits he's had in that time frame, he's also had 8 of them go for extra bases, right? 4 home runs. The guy's right now, right, little bit of time, killing the baseball. So like I said, something to keep your eye out. Still got a lot of development to come in play here, right? He's definitely behind, but this is why he was drafted. He's got a lot of tools, and he's turning it on at this point in time.
Yeah, like you mentioned, definitely behind. 2020 draft pick. He's still just 20 years old, though. So, ultimately, you look at it and he's not that far behind. But yeah, you're loving what you're seeing out of him from his first season in, full season ball.
Right.
Greensboro, if we're gonna go there, Bubba Chandler. I know you wanted to talk about him, but he has been he's been on another level lately. His last 4 starts. Let's just pull those up real quick. 4-0, 0.40 ERA in 22 and 2/3 innings. He struck out 24, only 4 walks during that time period. His start last week, 7 scoreless, 6 strikeouts. The overall numbers are still pretty high for the year because he really started off the season on a bad foot, but he has looked excellent this last month, basically. And the stuff is really good. The command's getting better. You're just seeing a lot of progression from Bubba Chandler that you gotta love. I was kind of warning people, like, you've got to be patient with this guy. This is his first season as a full-time pitcher. He really didn't pitch a lot in high school. I didn't think his progression would come this quickly.
Yeah.
Like, he looks really good. And he looks like someone who's going to be in Double-A next year at age 21, which is pretty incredible based off of just where he's at. But the stuff is insane. He is he's going to be cracking some top 100 lists by this time next year, I bet.
He's already cracked Keith Laws, which we all kind of shook our head at. And I think that actually came about before you talk about the last 4 starts, before that 4 start even began or whatever. Like it was very head scratching.
Mm-hmm.
Not to take away from Bubba Chandler, definitely talent, but
yeah,
I'm with you. I'm not sure if this was the clicking moment and it's all coming together for him, but like it looks and appears that way because it's been talent. Now we're starting to see results, and 4 in a row. It's small sample, obviously, but like it's enough to make you start thinking. It's not like it was just one start he had that was really good.
Yeah, like he's dominating.
Well, that's the part, right? Like it's complete domination. Like you said, the 0.4, 0.4 ERA, just 1 earned run, which is a home run, by the way. Like he's he's dominating right now. I don't know from promotion soon, but like this is like if he's now at this point and he's tracking, like is this a early 2025 call up Bubba Chandler, who, again, we're getting way ahead of ourselves here, but results are now coming. You don't talk about Bubba Chandler strictly by talent and stuff. You actually have to see the results now with it. That's what's really exciting to see.
Yeah. And he's pitching in a ballpark that's not really conducive to pitchers. And he's still been doing this last month or so.
Yep.
All right, Altoona. Who you got in Altoona? I guess it's your turn. Your turn.
Yeah, it's my turn. It's Altoona. And I feel like with Altoona, it's kind of meh. We could talk about Solomento. He hasn't been as strong recently. He came out looking really, really hot. But like his last, I think, like 5 starts, he's given up like 2, 3, 4 some runs and such, each one of them. I guess, is there anyone you want to talk about in specific?
Yeah, I guess real quick, if we're going to talk about somebody, Jackson Wolf.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Jackson Wolf made his debut yesterday. for the Altoona curve.
He went 4.2, 1 earned, just 2 hits, 5 strikeouts, a walk. So it was a good debut for him.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised they put him there. I thought they might push him up to AAA. Maybe they're just getting his feet wet in the organization. I wouldn't mind seeing him in Indianapolis before the end of the year. He's 24 years old.
Right.
He's already made his major league debut. He's on the 40-man. Maybe give him a couple starts in Altoona, but I would like to see them push him to Indy soon.
I'm with it. But yeah, like I said, just to bring it up, he did make his debut. He was part of that trade with Rich Hill to San Diego. And yeah, he did make his debut. You worry about the velocity and such. But in his AA numbers in all of San Diego, what was it? 4.08 ERA and 88.1 innings. So I'm with you. You know, like to me, like AAA doesn't matter too much. You're in AA as Charrington says, right? You're ready to go to the majors in that sense. So whether it's in the AA, whether it's in, Indy or whatnot, just to kind of see what he does with the Pirates. I just say that because a lot of our topics lately were guys the Pirates have brought over and identified something and have made them better. So this is kind of like you're looking at Jackson Wolf right now, just seeing if there's something the Pirates have identified with him as well. Back to Brucky. That's like he's like the guy right now, right? When he was with the Cubs in the minor leagues, it was terrible. But he came over to the Pirates, his minor league numbers were actually pretty decent. So again, like, is there going to be something we see out of Jackson Wolf that makes you a little more intrigued than what you were at the time of the trade?
Agreed.
And if we thought there was nothing intriguing in AA, do we want to go to Indy?
Yeah, I mean, probably the only real interesting guy there right now is probably Jared Jones.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about him this season, but he's still putting together pretty solid outings. Last time out this week, the walks kind of came back to haunt him. He walked 5 batters against Gwinnett, but struck out 7, got through 5 2/3. I think the biggest thing that I'm noticing now between like Indianapolis Jared Jones and Altoona Jared Jones is you're seeing a little more length. So like in Altoona, it was a lot of 4-inning games. And it seems like at least here in Indy, he's for the most part he's going 5, and then sometimes he's going 6. So he's bumping up the length a little bit more. Obviously, if you're going to call him up to the majors, you want him to be able to go past 6 innings. Like, you don't want 6 innings to kind of be his limit. He's only gone past 6 innings 1 time this season. So I think that's the main thing to watch now with Jared Jones, is just building up his stamina, building him up so that he can go deeper in games. Because the stuff and everything, like, he seems pretty ready at this point. Like, you could probably call up Jared Jones right now and get 4 solid innings out of him, if you needed it. But
Yeah,
I think you still want to see him go deeper into games before you're ready to say, okay, you're ready for a big league rotation.
I'm with you. The results, when you look at like numbers wise, hasn't been like great in Indy. 4.5 ERA, but the underlying numbers suggest he's actually pitching pretty well. And like, look at the FIP, it's a 3.52 FIP, and that even includes his last start, like you mentioned. And again, for the most part, the walks have been in line, the strikeouts still there. So like you're still seeing good stuff from Jared Jones. Like again, as mentioned, though, the results haven't looked that sexy for him. But you're right. Like, I like what I see out of Jared Jones. He's kind of come out of, I don't want to say nowhere, but like you weren't tracking for him to be a piece that you're intrigued with the rotation. I think a lot of us kind of penciled him as maybe like a back end reliever, like a really, really good one, almost like what Baczynski's doing right now. And now that he's done this, I mean, I think this is a huge W for the Pirates if he tracks, it becomes part of this rotation for the future. So looking at him, still doing pretty decent in AAA. And I guess like looking at innings wise too, right? You talked about the 4 innings, and that was like one of our talks. It looked like it was maybe developmental. Like it wasn't like he was going 4 and giving up 4 or 5. Like he was going 4, giving up 0 or 1. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, why is he going just 4 innings?
Mm-hmm.
So that's starting to come. He's at like almost 90 innings now in the season. He pitched 122 last year. So like it's not even like they're trying to limit because he's never gone this deep before. So I'm not sure, but yeah, AAA, he's actually, it's not like 4 is the ceiling, 4 is like the baseline as far as inning pitch at this point. And I'm excited for Jared Jones.
Yeah, I am too. The stuff is very, very enticing, and we knew that kind of since he was drafted. The stuff's always been really good. The question was always, yeah, can he stick as a starter? And he's showing that he might be able to do that.
Yep. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think
Cool,
we're good.
cool.
I will say this: Pitt City What in the comments here mentions Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is slated to make his pro debut in the Complex League sometime, probably in the next week. So by this time next week, we'll probably have one Paul Skeens pro baseball game, I would imagine.
That's a good point, Rob. He had a bullpen session yesterday, I think, right? They said, and then he was going to pitch this upcoming week.
Bullpen session, and along those same lines, Hunter Barco. Hunter Barco also made his pro debut yesterday. He only threw 2/3 of an inning, but struck out 2, walked 2. But that was his debut.
Cool. All right. Then I guess I'll wrap up the prospect talk. Let's get into the actual series upcoming. Jim, guess what?
What?
It's a 4-game series against the Braves. Which one am I going to forget this upcoming
Seems
week?
like a lot of games too against a really, really good Braves team. It's gonna be a nice. I mean, we know where the Pirates are at, but yeah, can the young guys keep up with the Atlanta Braves? I'm interested tonight. Spencer Strider goes tonight. I don't know if we've seen Strider pitch yet. Have we against the Pirates?
Not that I recall.
Yeah, I know he hasn't pitched against them this year. Looking at last year, there was one start last year where he struck out 8 in 5 2/3. So that's kind of I'm curious to see the strikeout numbers, especially with how the Pirates have been going down lately. I this has all the makings of like a 12 strikeout performance for Spencer Strider. But hopefully the Pirates can kind of get over that, because he still hasn't been quite as dominant this year as he was in his rookie season last year. The numbers, he's given up more runs, but he's still a really good pitcher, really, really good pitcher. And the Pirates are going to have a battle, especially with all the young bats in their lineup. Like 5 through 9 basically are all rookies at this point. It's going to be a big test for them this week.
Yeah, I felt like you hinted the word measuring stick in what you were saying. Yeah, they're good, and
Braves are,
like I don't know if this is like the measuring stick. They're probably going to lose this series. Let's just say it. The Braves offense is the best in baseball.
You take 2 of these though, and you're feeling really good about yourself.
Yeah, of course. But I think like what you're saying is, like this is a test, and because we talked about all the second half stuff, what we want to see, it's gonna be a good start to that. So right, like do the rookie stuff. And Endy he turned it on yesterday. We had 3 hits, right? Big home run and such. He was struggling for a bit. Henry Davis was struggling for a bit, had a home run and didn't do much yesterday as well, but he's hitting the ball very, very hard. Yeah. So yeah, like you're getting good pitching in this series as well. Max is coming back. Did he already make a start?
He has. Yeah, Max Fried has made.
He did then. He made his first start this weekend, was it?
Yeah, okay. August 4th. And
so I mean, he's
6 scoreless, 8 strikeouts.
So like he's coming back off the IL, really, really good pitcher. Like you say, Strider right now. So they have good pitching. It's a good lineup. So it's going to test you mentioned the arms that we talked about. Is Mitch Keller going to come back and pitch strong against them? So yeah, it's a lot of stuff. Again, this is like where it starts right now. You're facing one of the best teams in the National League and best teams in baseball. And how they're going to compare. Now, the thing I'm really looking forward to as well, get to see Ronald Acuna Jr. again. This is one of the things, there was a lot of teasing about the Pirates about, hey, come get tickets because Ellie De La Cruz is coming into town. Mm-hmm. Hey, this is Ronald Acuna, and he's having an historical type season.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like looking at this like, hey, I get to see Ronald Acuna Jr. as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just like a fan of baseball in general, like there's a lot of players on the Braves that you've got to just enjoy watching. Like I said, I mentioned Strider, one of the more fun pitchers I feel like to watch in baseball. Ronald Acuna Jr., you mentioned his season right now, incredible. 53 stolen bases on the year, 25 homers. He's going to at least be 30-30 for the second time of his career. He's got a possibility to be 40-40, really.
He's got a possibility of 40-80.
Like, he's your front runner for National League MVP at this point. As long as he just stays on the field, he's probably got that locked up. He's having just an incredible season, and just one of those guys where this is his 6th year in the majors, and you can kind of already see like probably a future Hall of Famer, Ronald Acuna Jr. So anytime one of those guys comes into town, it's worth going to see.
It is. I think right now he's the MVP of the league. I don't want to say it's not close, but he's the MVP of the league. But what's just kind of ridiculous is there was another guy in talks about being the MVP of the league, and that was our catcher and Sean Murphy. They also have, Matt Olson on the team who has 39 home runs, who only replaced Freddie Freeman, who's maybe also been an MVP type player now with the Dodgers. It's just like this Braves team is just ridiculous. His whole organization is just ridiculous. I'm jealous.
1 through 5 is just really good. This lineup: Acuna, Albies, Riley, Olson, Murphy. Then you roll into Marcell Ozuna, who is kind of up and down, but he's hitting the ball pretty well this year.
Yeah,
and then just the bottom,
scorching hot a month ago.
And then the bottom of their order are still just like really good player. Like Eddie Rosario is their number 7 hitter, and he's just a consistent major leaguer. Like Orlando Arcia, decent player. Michael Harris is second, rounding things off, in the 9 hole. He started off the season, a little rough, but he's really turned it on too. So yeah, this is a really, really, really good baseball team. Pirates pitchers are going to have their hands full. If there is a weakness to this team, it's, their pitching. They do face Yanni Chirinos on Tuesday. Like we did mention Max Fried. He's really good, but he did just come off the IL, so maybe he's a little bit rusty. And then they get Bryce Elder on Thursday, where, if you had to pick someone to face in this rotation outside of, like if you had to pick between him and Morton, you're probably going Bryce Elder there, but it's going to be a tough battle for this team. Like I said, we're probably going to see a lot of strikeouts, at least on Monday night for sure. But I don't know. I kind of like seeing good teams. You never know with baseball. Like the Pirates have kind of shown in the past to really step up when like the stage is higher. Like when they play the Dodgers, they just seem to play really well. So maybe we see the same thing with the Braves. Who knows? It would be a great series to at least come away with a split. If they're able to win this series somehow, then yeah, that's you love that.
That would be huge. How fun of a show that would make sometime this week.
Yeah, you'd love to see that.
Right. But no, I'm with you, man. It's going to be a very, very good game. They're a very, very good. Well, I should say a good game. It's a very, very good team. Hopefully, they have some good games. But at any rate, the young guys, for the most part, are all here. This is going to be fun for them, I'm sure, too. Good matchups. Let's see how they perform. And I guess, too, like the Indy behind the plate thing, right? Just, I don't know, man. I know, again, 7-5, or we joke about, but like, just seeing how he's going to do against this team, how he's going to handle the pitching going forward. I don't know. I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for Andy Rodriguez right now. I just really am.
No, and we should be. We should be excited about these young guys who are going to be playing a part in this team's future. And Andy Rodriguez is certainly one of those guys.
Right. Cool. If you're going to give a prediction, what's your prediction for this series?
Ooh, you know what? I'm going to say they split. I'm going to say they split the series. Yeah.
Positive Jim on a Monday morning.
Let's do it.
What a week. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to say the same thing then. Let's go for the split. Let's split with the Atlanta Braves. Sound good?
We have Quinn Priester pitching on Wednesday, which means we're going to score like 10 runs.
Actually, I forgot. Yeah. Quinn Priester is pitching. That's the Fried one, right? The matchup with Fried?
Max Fried and Quinn Priester. So that's like a guaranteed win. Quinn Priester doesn't lose.
Done. Let's call it a day. It's a split. All they have to do is they just need – there's 3 games you have to find a way to win one of them because you got that game in the bag with Quinn Priester. So, good deal. All right, Jim. Let's get out of here then. Appreciate everyone for watching. We'll be back again, of course, with the post game tonight and for the remaining 3 days because this is a 4-game series I won't forget about. So, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
See you all.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.